This is a Vinyasa yoga practice designed to bring balance in the ovulatory phase. The ovulatory phase comes with elevated estrogen levels, a slight bump in testosterone, so you might be feeling energy is through the roof, but it's also a time of heightened arousal in both body and mind. So sometimes if you meet that arousal with feeling a bit overwhelmed, perhaps the elevated estrogen brings about anxiety or kind of an inability to focus, sometimes it can be great to use a yoga practice for grounding that energy, for giving it a channel, a way to exit the body so that you can then be left with the open quality, the creativity that is available in this phase. A lot of times it's great to move through kind of these powerful, high intensity workouts when you have that energy, the estrogen and the absence of progesterone, that bump in testosterone. But if you're feeling anywhere on the side of overwhelm, this is a great practice for you during the ovulatory phase. It is certainly strong, but in a more grounded way. So we're moving slowly with more fluid body patterns that allow you to kind of explore your breath, to explore the inner landscape, and give you an opportunity to reflect, to kind of help balance that state of overwhelm, that state of arousal. So in today's practice, we are blending the alchemy of deep backbends and twists to kind of explore what they lend to each other, kind of these two movements in the spine that can be so complementary in a yoga practice. So we'll start by kind of warming the body with sun salutations to give you an opportunity to check in, to really connect with how you're feeling so that you can modify your practice accordingly. There's lots of ways in this practice to kind of turn up the intensity if you're wanting to move deeper into the postures, or maybe add some more kind of strength work throughout. And there's also the opportunity to dial it back if you're not wanting to move so deeply, but instead you're wanting to stay kind of at your intuitive edge so that you get the balance and kind of the moving meditation quality that you might be looking for during this phase. All you'll need for this practice is a mat and your breath. So let's get started. Let's begin today at the top of your mat. Come to a standing position. Take a few moments to set your body up in space. We'll enjoy 3 rounds of sun salutation A to begin our practice, simply to gather information, to really check in with how your body's feeling on this day. So as you're ready, inhale, reach the arms overhead, stretch from the fingertips to toe tips. And then as you exhale, fold over your legs. Keep a gentle bend there. Relax the head and neck. Inhale, halfway lift your spine. Stretch from crown to tail. And as you exhale, step back into plank. Stay here for the inhale breath. On your exhale, send your elbows back, hug them into your sides. Float the body all the way down to the earth. Untuck the toes. Inhale your back bend, either cobra with the hips grounded or upward dog, hips and thighs lift. Exhale, downward dog. We'll be here just a breath. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, gaze forward, bend your knees, lift your heels. And on the exhale, step your feet to your hands. Forward bend. Inhale, halfway lift your spine. And exhale, fold. On the next inhale, rise all the way to stand. Stretch your arms overhead. And exhale, let your hands melt down through your heart. Again, inhale, reach up. Really taking notice of how you feel. Exhale, fold over your legs. Where do you feel tight? Where do you feel open? Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back to plank. Connecting with your breath here. Inhale, stay for the inhale. On the exhale, lower all the way down, floating to the earth. Untuck the toes. Activate the legs. Inhale your back bend. If you're in upward dog, thighs and hips lift. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, breath. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, gaze forward, bend your knees, lift your heels. On the exhale, this time, either step or lightly hop your feet to your hands. Inhale, lift halfway. And exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, reach up, stretch. Exhale, hands to heart. Last round here. Inhale, reach up. Lengthen the sides of the waist. Exhale, fold over the legs. Relax the head and neck. Inhale, lift halfway. Extend your spine. Exhale, step back to plank. Pause for the inhale. Hug hands to feet. And then float the body all the way down, hugging elbows into your sides. Inhale your back bend, upward dog or cobra. And exhale, downward facing dog. Stay for a full breath here. Inhale. And exhale. And this time as you inhale, gaze forward, bend your knees, lift your heels. Empty the breath completely if you're hopping forward. And then lightly float the feet to the hands or step the feet to the hands. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Pause for a moment here. Just a little bit of movement that we've invited into the body now. Checking in, surveying the inner landscape. What is happening inside your body? Let that inform and guide your practice, where to give a little effort and where to dial it back. Keep that line of communication open through the breath. We'll continue flowing now as you inhale, reach the arms up. Take right hand to right side waist, stretch the left arm up and over, side bend, root evenly through both feet. Inhale, back through center, exhale to the other side. As you inhale, come up through center, interlace the fingers behind your head. Let your elbows be wide, press your head into your hands, tiny back bend through the heart here. Maybe you can open it up a little bit further, press the thighs forward, lift the heart skyward. Come up through center, inhale, and as you exhale, interlace your fingers behind you. Create that mudra, that yoga mudra with the hands interlaced. Move your knuckles toward your inner heels. Lift up, stretch across the chest. Big breath in. And as you exhale, keep the knees gently bent as you fold over the legs. Send your knuckles skyward now, almost as if you were suspended from a space on the ceiling. Release the hands. Inhale, halfway lift your spine. Take the feet to about hips width distance. Keep your left hand planted. As you inhale, bend into your left knee, spin your right arm open. Feel that stretch in the outer right leg. Really root down through the outer edge of right foot. Keep your hips over your heels. And then switch. Give the right hand to the floor. Open the left arm skyward. Bend deeply into the right knee. Rotating here. Try not to let the hips come along for the ride in the rotation. Let them stay square and focus the rotation in the upper back. Slowly let that go. Heel toe the feet together. Lift the heels. We'll lower into ball pose now. So lifting the heels, squeezing the inner edges of the feet together. Feel that opening across the soles of the feet. And then slowly lower to your seat. Keep the knees hugging into the midline. Draw your belly into your thighs to lift up through the spine. So find crown to tail in that straight axis, up and down. From here, take your left arm, reach it straight up. Really lengthen the left side waist. And on the exhale, twist to the right. You can use your hands to keep your legs aligned to the center. And then bring your left elbow to the outside of right knee. Hands find the heart. Notice if you're tipping back. Can you lift the spine up and forward? Press the soles of the feet evenly into the floor. Squeeze your inner thighs together and aim to square the hip creases to the front. Feel this deep twist, deep awakening in the hip flexors and the low belly. Press your right hand into your left to leverage that deep twist. So today we're working with the alchemy of deep twisting and back bends, what they lend to each other. Inhale, reach up through center. Keep your right arm there. Take your left hand, press it into your left thigh. And as you exhale, twist to the left now, bringing right elbow to the outside of left knee. And look at what happens to your knees. Can you square the limbs to the front? Keep that alignment. And then press hands to heart. Use the left hand to firmly press into the right. Resist with the right, and that'll help you twist deeper. Maybe gaze over left shoulder. Squeeze the inner knees together. Press the soles of the feet down into the mat. So we're using this initial period after our sun salutations to awaken and integrate the core in preparation for the rest of our flow. Come back through center, both arms reach, inhale. See if you can press your thighs towards your belly, belly towards your thighs. Then as you exhale, spider your fingers behind you. Hug your elbows into the back of the heart so that you feel that lift in the chest. And then we'll keep on the front of the sits bones, but come up into a supported boat pose. Squeeze the shins together, find them parallel to the earth. Big breath in. And as you exhale, slowly tap one toe, one side of the foot, one foot to the mat, and then the other. Come up, inhale, and tap, tap. So nice and quick here, keeping the knees in that shared plane and keeping the heart elevated. So trying not to round in the back, but keeping that action of magnetizing belly to thighs, thighs to belly. If you'd like to make this a bit more challenging, you can work towards straight legs, tapping the toes here, keeping that hinge at the knees in the same plane so they're not drifting apart, they're staying together. Last one each side, tap and tap. Release down. You can let your knees butterfly to the side for a moment just to release the hip flexors here. And then we'll slowly lower onto the back, bone by bone. See if you can feel each part of your spine as it lowers down. We'll reach the arms straight up, bring the knees once again to that tabletop shape. Notice when the knees are aligned with the hips, you'll start to feel your hip flexors and low belly engage there. If they're too close, those muscles relax. So you want to keep the knees directly over the hips. From here, we'll take right hand to left thigh, press and resist with that left thigh. And then we'll extend opposite limb, so opposite arm and leg away. And then we switch sides, cross your left hand to your right thigh, extend left leg, right arm, and come back. Alternating sides here, really press with that opposite hand to give yourself something to resist. Magnetize the low ribs and the hip points together. You might even lift the back of the head off the mat so that you can create that integration by shortening the gap, hips and low ribs. So you can keep that engagement the entire time. And then as you press with the hand into the thigh, you should feel that little bit of tremble that lets you know the muscles are firing, they're excited, they're awake. Last one each side. Reach. Keep breathing fluidly through the nose where you can. And come out of that. So we'll extend the legs long here. Maybe windshield wiper the knees a bit if you need to. And then start to roll onto your right side. So I'll be opposite you in movement now that we're facing each other. You'll have your right forearm down on the mat. Position your shoulder directly over the elbow. And then begin to stack the feet, stack the hips. We're coming into side plank here as you're ready. Press into that forearm, lift the left arm skyward. Imagine someone gently pulling your top palm towards the sky. And then press down. Feel the equal and opposite action. As you press down into the forearm, can you lift the hips and create that space? From here, step your left foot behind you. Stay on the ball of that left foot. Bring left hand to heart. Start to turn your heart skyward. Come into wild thing on the forearm here. So deep stretch across the chest. Really lift heart into hand. And then maybe reach the left arm overhead. Finding a variation of this back bending posture. And then as we come back through center, we'll exchange sides. So tuck your left forearm beside the right. Roll onto the left side of the body now. Right arm reaching. Press down to lift the hips nice and high. Shoulder directly over the bottom elbow. Big breath in and slow breath out. Step your right foot behind you now, staying on the ball of that foot. Feel that additional support you now have. Bring right hand to heart. Press your heart into your hand and turn your heart skyward. Feel that awakening now in the left shoulder, left chest. And then maybe start to reach the right arm overhead, arcing through the upper back. As you come back through center, this time place your right palm on the mat, position the body for plank, and then press up to plank pose. Feel that strength in the belly, send your heart forward, and then close the gap once again between low ribs and hip points. Hug the heels of your hands toward the ball mounds of your feet. Feel the integration now in the belly. Feel it fire up. Stretch through the crown of the head. Last breath here. And exhale, downward dog. Enjoy a few breaths here, just settling into this downward dog shape, pedaling out the feet, stretching the spine. Let your head hang heavy as a natural extension of your spine. Notice the priority in downward dog, so you can bend your knees and lift your heels so that you feel the extension in the spine. Press down and forward with the hands. Spinal extension being the priority. Then you might start to straighten the legs a bit and maybe even lower the heels toward the mat. Big breath in and slow breath out. Step the feet together here. Inhale, reach your right leg up and back. Let the hip open, square the shoulders. Feel that aliveness in the sides of the waist. Keep the left hip crease moving up and back. Come back through center, re-extend, inhale. And as you exhale, step your right foot through between your hands. Find your strongest lunge. So the shin moves forward, the left heel moves back. The right hip crease drops down, the left thigh floats up. Feel that strength and stability in the foundation. Slowly rise up and crescent lunge. Reach the arms overhead. Feel that stretch in the back thigh, back quadricep here. Big breath in. As you exhale, aim your left elbow to the outside of right knee. Take your right arm behind you, but hover. We'll come back up through center. Inhale. Exhale, use the strength in the belly. Take the left elbow to the outside and hover. Last one like this. Big inhale. And exhale, hover, twist as much as you can using the belly only, square the hips, and then take the elbow to the outside, hands to heart. Press top hand into bottom hand, twist deeper. Keep the legs strong, press your left heel back, and engage that back leg to stabilize. Stretch the crown of the head forward, maybe turn your gaze over your right shoulder and up towards the sky. Big twist here. Hug the energy of the inner thighs to the midline. Slowly start to come out of the twist, back through your crescent lunge. Stay for a breath. Now what the twist gives to the back bend, wrap your left arm under right, find eagle arms. So all that length we created, that rotational flexibility in the spine, now we'll use it to take the arms up and back. Find a gentle back bend here. On your exhale, come into leaning lunge, stretch the fingertips forward, give the weight from your left foot to your right, come into warrior three. Square the hips, lift your left hip crease skyward, drop your right hip crease skyward, drop your left hip down. Here, gentle toe taps, bend into the right knee, tap the left toes, let them hover, and come back to warrior three. Gentle tap, keep the belly strong, and warrior three. Last one, tap. And then as you come up, we'll release the hands, soften into a forward bend, let your head and neck relax. And controlling the descent now, lower your left toes to the mat. Keep kind of a short stance here, so you might walk the left toes in a bit and lower the left heel to the earth. Coming into pyramid pose here, inner edges of the feet are in a single line. Lift through the spine, lengthen both sides of the waist. Draw your right hip crease back in space. Press the inner edges of the feet down and into the mat to rotate the inner thighs back in space. And then as you exhale, any amount, fold over that front leg, pyramid pose. Letting the head and neck hang heavy, maybe freeing the cervical spine by shifting the chin left and right. Inhale, lift halfway. And as you exhale, step back, downward facing dog. Optional vinyasa here if you'd like to add it in. We're in that ovulatory phase, so if you're feeling energized, you might roll forward to plank, lower to chaturanga or belly down. Come into your back bend, upward dog or cobra, and exhaling back to downward dog. Step your feet together. Inhale, left leg rises. Let that hip open. Square the shoulders. Lift the right hip crease up and back. Come back through center, big breath in. And as you exhale, step your left foot through between your hands. Find your strong lunge here. Again, left shin moves forward, right heel presses back, separation between the thigh bones. Left hip crease drops down, right thigh floats up. That stability and strength in the lunge. Inhale, rise up. From that stable base, lengthen both sides of the waist. On your next exhale, hover your right elbow to the outside of left knee. Reach your left arm back. Inhale, reach up, lengthen the sides of the waist. And exhale, hover. Find that pulsation first. Inhale, reach. This time as you exhale, rotate, wrap the right low ribs around your body, and then connect elbow to outer knee, hands press into heart. Notice if your hips are twisting, can you keep them square? Press that right heel back like crazy, left shin forward. Dial the hands toward the heart, so you're moving your thumbs toward your heart center. Then maybe rotate the gaze up over your left shoulder towards the sky. Coil the belly in to create space. You got this. Slow and steady as you come out. Reach the arms overhead. So we find that space now in the spine. Wrap your right arm under into eagle arms. Big breath in. Offer the back bend. Reach the arms up and back. And then slowly leaning lunge. Take the fingertips forward. Give the weight from your right foot to your left. Warrior 3. Find where that back leg is level. It's in the horizontal plane. And then with an exhale, bend the left knee deeply, tap the right toes to the mat. Straighten that left leg once again, and tap the toes. Feel that left leg fire up. Last one, tap the toes. And slowly come up, release the hands. Find your standing splits, so hips are square. Your leg might be low, it might be high. Just relax the back of the neck. And then slowly, in that same way that we just did from Warrior 3, release your right foot to the mat. Short stance here. Back heel touches down. Inner edges of the feet in one line. Press into those inner edges to rotate the inner thighs back in space, broadening the sacrum. Tilt the pelvis forward like you're tipping out a bowl. And with the spine nice and long, fold over that left leg any amount here. Feel the stretch. Can you activate the left leg by pressing down into the floor and lifting the hip crease up and back? Inhale, breath, lengthen halfway. And exhale, downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet. Let that second side soak in. And then bring the feet together, big toes touch. Inhale, lift the heels high up off the mat. Start to turn to the left, bringing the outer edge of the right foot to the mat. Stack the hips, stack the shoulders. Come into side plank. Lift your left arm high. Press down into the right hand to create that space between your body and the mat. From here, we're going to take left toes to right foot. So we're bringing the left foot out in front of you, tapping the toes. Just 3 times here. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, tap. Requires a lot of control. And connect. Reach, extend, and then slowly on your exhale, come back through downward dog. Transition to the other side. So coming onto left foot, opening to the right. Stretch the right arm skyward. Big breath in. Create a little bit more space for myself here for those toe taps. As you're ready, touch right foot to right toes and re-extend. Tap and reach. Last one. Come back through center and slowly find downward facing dog. Take a break if you need to, coming down onto the knees. Maybe grabbing a sip of water or toweling off, or simply using downward dog as your resting posture. As you're ready, bring the feet together. Reach the right leg up and back. Let that hip open, square the shoulders. Feel the length in the sides of the waist. Come back through center, square the hips. Exhale, step your right foot through between your hands. This time, let the back knee come down, but keep the key actions in the lunge, so keep that strong foundation. Untuck the back toes, reach the arms up. We'll find a mudra here in the hands, so we interlace the fingers, release index fingers and thumbs. Squeeze the upper arm bones into your ears, and then send them back behind your ears. Can you soften shoulders down the back? Notice if the low ribs are puffing out. Can you hug them in? Inhale, lift up skyward through the fingertips. Then as you exhale, up and over to the right. Can you keep both sides of the waist long here? Press through that back shin as an anchor point, and then lift up and over. Inhale back through center. Find the back bend now, maybe bending more into that right knee. Lifting up, arcing through the spine. Come back up through center. Now we reverse it. So we're finding out what the back bend can give to the twist. As you exhale, hands touch down to frame your right foot. Tuck the back toes under, come into your lunge. Slide the back toes in. So we're coming back into that pyramid pose shape. So inner edges of the feet are touching. Spread the toes evenly. Keep your left hand planted on the mat. Can be on fingertips if you need to. Right hand finds right hip crease. Draw that right hip crease back in space. At the same time, press through the inner edges of both feet to keep the thighs rolling back. Both sides of the waist long. Slowly start to twist to the right. Keep the hips square and stable. Release your right arm skyward. Imagine someone lifting your arm straight up to the ceiling. Feel the twist move into the upper back, and notice what the back bend gives to the twist here. We have lots of length to work with. Last big breath. As you exhale, gaze down at your right foot. Start to bend into the right knee. Give the weight from the left foot to the right. Revolved half moon, so keep the twist in the upper body, but then square the hips. Hug the inner thighs to the midline. From here, as you exhale, tap back toes to right fingertips and re-extend. Tap, feel that connection, and reach. Last one here, tap. Maybe you find the bind, reaching for the inner edge of the foot, really opening that right shoulder. So you're stacking the shoulders, and then the hips stay square to the floor. Last big breath. And release back through your revolved half moon. Slowly touch the back toes to the mat. Keep the twist, let your back knee come down. Open the heart. Relax it open here. So really feeling the back bend now, all that space. We'll find that bind once again, bending into the back knee. So you can stay here with the heart twisting, or for deeper sensation, come onto the top of your front thigh. Maybe reach both arms back for the ankle or the foot, and then dial the shoulders open. Keep the belly integrated, hips and low ribs connect as you lift up through the heart. Nice back bend here from the lunge. Last big breath. And slowly release the hands down. You might straighten that leg ever so slightly. And then we'll take the right knee to meet the left. Walk the hands out in puppy pose just for a moment. Stretch the heart towards the earth. Lift the sitting bones, the hip creases skyward. Unfold in your downward dog as you're ready. Coming into the second side now, releasing any expectation you might have. Inhale, left leg reaches up and back. Let the hip open, square the shoulders. Re-extend, inhale, and exhale, step that right foot through between the hands. Back knee comes down, find your strongest lunge here. Lift up through the chest so the spine is nice and long. Untuck the back toes, connect that back shin to the mat. Inhale, reach up. Find your mudra once again, this time crossing the way that feels a bit funny, maybe a bit unnatural. Releasing index fingers and thumbs, hugging the upper arm bones into the ears, stretch the arms behind you. Big inhale and lengthen. And exhale, lean up and over to the left. Keep pressing the right shin firmly into the mat. Sides of the waist even, lengthen up and out. Come back through center, big breath in. And as you exhale, back bend, lift up, reach back, broaden the heart. And slowly back through center. Exhale, let your hands touch down to frame your left foot. Start to slide the back toes in, coming into your pyramid pose shape. So again, feel what the back bend gives to the twist. It's that alchemy of rotation and extension. Right hand stays planted, left thumb, left hand to the left hip crease. Draw that hip crease back as you, at the same time, press through the inner edge of the foot so that lengthens the left leg. And then keeping the hips square, begin to turn the heart to the left. Reach your left arm skyward, revolve triangle pose. Lengthen the fingertips up. Start to stretch the sides of the waist out of the hip creases. So you have all this room now to rotate. Big breath in. Slow breath out. Gaze down at your left foot. Start to transfer the weight from the right foot to the left. Walk your fingers forward. Come into revolved half moon. So it's that same deep twist, but now we have the back leg lifted. From here, tap left fingertips to right toe tips and reach. Find that proprioception. We're sharpening that skill here, connecting the limbs in space without being able to necessarily see them directly. Last time here, you might find the bind. Don't sweat it if you can't. We're coming back to it in the lunge. Slowly release, extend both limbs, and ever so gently let that toe touch down, keep the twist. This time open it up, soften into that heart opening rotation here. Option for the bind once again if you'd like to bend your back knee and reach for the foot. And if you'd like to deepen the sensation, start to square the shoulders, square the hips, come onto the top of the back thigh. So just avoid resting your weight right on top of the knee, but instead you're more on the front of the thigh there. Rotate the shoulders open. If your ribs start to puff out when you do that, reconnect low ribs to hip points. Lift up through the heart, press the foot into the hands, hands into the foot. Last big breath here. And slowly let it go. Let the left knee join the right. And this time we're coming into a kneeling position. So hips directly over the knees. Start to press through the shins firmly. So you have that engagement in the legs right from the start. Coming into camel pose now, just one round. So you can keep this a supported version if you'd like with your hands on your hips, or you can start to move your hands towards your heels. A way to lift the heels is to come up onto the balls of the feet if you need them a little bit closer to your fingertips. So we'll start here, hugging the elbows into each other behind you, offering the palms up. And as you lift up through the heart, keep the integration, so the low ribs and hip points together. You might bring your hands to your low back first. Press the thighs forward, fill the glutes into the hands, and then use the hands to draw the sacrum toward the inner knees, downward. Create space in the low back. And then here you might reach for your heels. Maybe you stay in the supported version. Lift up through the heart, press the thighs forward. Maybe drop the gaze back. Use the support of your hands to slowly come out and rest on your heels for a breath. Really allowing your body to absorb, to fill up with the energy that you just unlocked through this deep back bending and twisting practice. And we'll play here just for a moment with that energy that we now have. Bring your hands out in front of you. Make sure that you wiggle and release your spine, letting any residual sensation leave the spine before you come into a forward bend. And as you're ready, soften into cow pose. Relax the belly, gaze up, shine the sitting bones back. And then as you exhale, come into cat, but lift the knees off the mat. Let them hover. Really press through the hands, round into the upper back. Cow pose, inhale, soften the belly. Exhale, cat pose, round, coil the belly in, press through the hands, lift the knees. Last one like this, inhaling. And exhale, press down, round, curl the belly in and up. Release it down here. Bring your hands a little bit closer together and slightly out in front of you so they're forward of your shoulders. Start to tuck the back toes under. And then we're going to hop the feet around the hands into a squat. So as you're ready, lower the hips down, find some buoyancy, and hop your feet to your hands. Coming into a deep squat here, press the elbows out for a moment. Don't sweat it if your heels lift off the mat. That is totally okay. From here, we're going to play with just a quick arm balance before we come into our cooling sequence. So bring your hands down in front of you. Heel toe the feet together so that the big toe mounds are touching, inner ankles are touching. Let the knees splay open wide and lower your body deep between your shins. So you have this nice space that you are now occupying between the inner knees. Then squeeze your inner knees high up on the arms, so in the armpits or around the backs of the arms. Keep that squeeze as you just lift the heels up off the mat. As best as you can, keep the energy of the sits bones moving toward the heels. So we're not hiking the hips up high, but instead we're keeping that integration, that circuit of energy. And then begin to shift weight into your hands. Come onto the tippy toes. Hug right heel to sit bone. Feel that connection press into the hands and lower it down. Hug left heel into sit bone. Coil through the belly, press through the hands around the upper back, and then come back down. This time, maybe both heels into the sitting bones. Coil, create that connection. Breathe here. Keep your gaze steady, float. And slowly release down. Sway the hips side to side in ball pose, stretch the feet. And then lower to your seat. Keep your right shin hugging into your body, extend your left leg long. So as best as you can, that right heel close to the seat. Tilt your pelvis forward in space so you have that anterior pelvic tilt. Hugging the outer right belly, outer ribs to the right thigh. Twisting here, reach your left arm up, lengthen out of the hips, and then as you exhale, rotate. So find a deep twist. Right fingertips can come behind you, and then find a bit of a shimmy, a bit of a wiggle to wrap the left low ribs around to the right. You might take the left elbow to the outside of right knee and bring the hands to heart, or just keep that deep wrapping action, massaging the low belly and then expanding the breath so you feel that resistance of your thigh on the belly as you try to really inflate the lungs. That makes them stronger. Keep pressing the sole of the left foot forward, sole of the right foot down. Maybe gaze over your right shoulder. And then release the gaze forward. Slowly untwist. From here, we'll take the left hand behind you now. Right arm reaches forward and send the right palm up so it's facing the sky. From here, we're coming into wild things. So we keep that right knee bent. Slowly press the hips skyward, up and over with the right hand. Come onto the ball of your right foot. Lift the hips towards the ceiling. Press down through that back hand. Lengthen. You might bring the right hand to heart to give your heart a directionality here. And slowly lower back down to a seat. Shake out the shoulders and we'll exchange sides. So the left knee comes in. Feel that close connection, the calf to the back of the thigh, thigh to the outer ribs. Right arm reaches skyward, lengthen both sides of the waist. Exhale, wrap, twist. Take the left hand behind you and then wiggle, shimmy, and shake until you can get those right low ribs around to the left thigh. Keep the sole of the right foot pressing forward. Send your gaze over left shoulder. Again here, strengthen your breath. So really inflate the lungs against the kind of pressure, the gentle pressure of the twist. It's like moving your breath under resistance training for your breath. Send your gaze forward. Without urgency, release the twist, shake out the shoulders. Now we'll switch the hands. So the right hand comes behind. Let the fingertips face behind you so that you can externally rotate the shoulder. So we're using the mobility in the shoulder here as we prepare for the back bend. Offer your left palm forward. And then we're going to lift the hips straight up skyward, keeping them as square as you can. Lift up, come onto the left toes and reach. Arc through the upper back. Find your back bend. Maybe bringing left hand to heart. Squeeze the inner thighs to the midline. Really press down through all points of contact so that you can have that equal and opposite lift up. And slowly come down, release. Shake it out. Shake out your legs. Let both legs extend long. We'll keep the knees deeply bent here, about hips width distance apart. Tilt your pelvis forward like you're trying to marry your ribs to your thighs. Reach the arms up. And as you exhale, forward bend. So we're intentionally keeping the knees bent here such that this can be a gentle forward bend as our initial counter pose to the deep back bend. Relax your head, let it be heavy, let it hang. Press your feet into your hands into your feet. Get some traction through the spine. And then slowly lowering down onto the earth. Maybe windshield wipering the knees side to side. Letting the low back release completely. Then hug a right knee into chest. Keep your left leg long. Take your right knee over to the left. Guide it into that spinal twist. You might stay here, maybe gaze over the right shoulder. If you want to create a bit more sensation, you can bend the left knee underneath you and reach your right fingertips for your left foot. Keeping that leg grounded. So just finding once again this rotation now in the lower body. You might find a bit more space in the fronts of the thighs after some of the deeper back bending postures. As you're ready, slowly coming out of the twist, back through center. Setting up for the second side now. Right leg extends, left knee hugs to the center, to the chest. And then guide that left leg over to the right. Send your gaze over the left shoulder. Again, your option here is to bend that bottom knee, reach for the right foot with the left hand, and then allow the shoulders to stay grounded, to stay relaxed, and that right leg stays planted on the earth. Find your breath slowing here, releasing some of the control, some of the effort. And then come back through center. Begin to hug the knees into the chest. Create a bit of space here. We're coming into a modified plow pose. So this can be a pretty intense posture for the spine. So if you feel any discomfort, just coming back to this knee hug or knees to chest pose. If you'd like to explore the supported plow pose, reach your legs skyward. Press into your hands by your sides to lift the hips, and then support the hips with the hands. So bring your hands to your low back. Hug the elbows into the midline. Press through the backs of the arms firmly. And then you can start to lower the legs behind you. Maybe keep the knees bent. Eventually you'll have hips over shoulders, but just being mindful of where you are today. Resist the urge to look around. Keep the gaze straight up so the back of the neck is neutral and long. You should feel the ability to breathe freely here so you're not contracting or constricting the throat. Just really allowing the spine to stretch. Feel the rivers of the spine lengthening from the base of your skull all the way to the pelvis, to the sacrum. Last big breath here. As you slowly come out, lower bone by bone. Bring feet to the mat. Let your knees turn in, the feet turn out. Bring a hand to heart, a hand to belly. We'll be here in a resting posture for a minute or two more, but as with any yoga practice, don't rush your rest. So whatever you need to do, whatever little bits of energy you need to get out, maybe you need to shake it out a little bit or move to let your practice feel complete. Feel free to do that now. And then only when you're ready, giving the movement over to stillness. So making that transition however it feels best in your body. Maybe letting out a sigh or a deep breath. And as you move into greater stillness, start to let your body speak. Let your body communicate. Where do you feel energy from the practice? Where do you feel the work from the practice? And then how does that map on to your more subtle energy, your more subtle emotional current? Has there been any shift? Any opening, any new space created? Invite a deep breath into your body. Let it fill you up. And then sigh it out, letting anything go that you might still be holding on to. Just freeing your body from that weight. Gently invite movement back into your body through fingers and toes. Letting your knees, ankles, wrists move however they feel most natural. And we'll gently roll to one side of the body, making that journey back up to a comfortable seat. Let it be as slow as you need. And give your spine a bit of a shake. Just notice how you feel. Maybe you feel a bit taller, a bit lighter, a bit more joyful in this part of your cycle now. I want to thank you so much for joining me today and for letting your body be moved.